Aspen and acequias. On Utah's Fish Lake Plateau, the pando clone is dying. This 100-acre stand of aspen appears on the surface to be comprised of individual trees, but in reality they are connected underground to form a single, enormous organism. It is having trouble raising new shoots to maturity, threatening the survival of the whole. As part of an ecology course, I helped put up fence around study plots in the pando to gather data that could eventually be used to save it. But after this experience, I could not come up with a concrete answer when asked why anyone should care about the fate of the pando clone or any other aspen. It could be because of the 100+ species that depend on them for habitat and forage, or because they are economically valuable as a tourist attraction, or even simply because people have emotional attachments to the trees. But those reasons don't capture their true significance. Kendall Clark, supervisor of the Carson National Forest in New Mexico, has an answer. In the end, the bottom line is water. That's why I care. Kendall's white hair and soft, creased features give the impression of a young grandmother, full of life and energy. Her voice is soft, but when she starts talking about aspen, it finds passion. She regularly finds herself explaining their importance to locals in northern New Mexico. Without aspens, she says, it is possible that your acequias may never flow again. To New Mexicans, it's a sobering thought. Acequias are simply communal irrigation ditches, but they also represent one of the oldest forms of democratic government in North America. For 400 years, communities have elected leaders, called mayordomos, to make decisions about water usage from the acequias. They are charged with the responsibility to determine how much water each member can draw from the acequia at which time. If acequias dry up, a centuries-old government will vanish too. New Mexicans naturally want to know how aspen fit into the equation. The trees are deciduous, an uncommon characteristic among the evergreen firs and pines of the Colorado Plateau. Falling snow that would be caught on evergreen needles make it past the bare branches. Snow on the ground melts slower, leaving more for summer. But more importantly, when aspen drop their leaves each autumn, they decompose to form a rich, spongy soil. It is often 20 to 30 feet deep and holds water better than that of its coniferous cousins, leaving groundwater available throughout the year. As long as New Mexico has aspen, acequias have water. Aspen are having difficulty coping with the intense droughts and warmer temperatures brought on by anthropogenic global climate change. It's called sudden aspen decline, SAD. Droughts weaken the trees, and a greater number of the aspen-eating beetles and wood borers survive the relatively warm winter nights. The trees become infested, and fungi follow right on their tails. It only takes a few years for a tree to weaken and die. Thousands upon thousands of acres have already been devastated on the Colorado Plateau, and if climate change brings increasingly severe droughts and warm climate as projected, aspen will be hit even harder. Not only will there be less precipitation, but the Southwest will lose the ability to capture it. It is not just acequias that are threatened, but their industrial equivalents. Without aspen, it is possible that our aqueducts may never flow again. Our reservoirs may empty. Kendall estimates that between 30 and 50 million people depend on the area affected by SAD for their water, and demand is only expanding. The Southwest holds some of the fastest growing cities in America: Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Albuquerque. The headwaters of the Colorado, Rio Grande, Platte, Republican, White, and Pecos rivers all lie in aspen forest. Losing them would devastate the millions who rely on these rivers for water, but few have begun to talk about this danger. It is all too easy to get lost in the generalizations of global climate change. Habitat destruction, loss of ecosystem services, and the next mass extinction do pose threats around the globe, but they do not mean much to people here in northern New Mexico. Kendall realizes that if people do not understand how global warming will impact their everyday lives, the urgency of the Earth's situation is lost. In the Southwest, climate change boils down to one thing: less water in an already dry region. Take Aspen out of the equation and it drops even more. Water tensions run high both politically and ecologically. And as the water level continues to fall, the tensions will only rise. Climate change will continue to present incredible challenges to the Southwest. When Kendall Clark talks about Aspen and acequias, her community takes them seriously.